One of the big items that I've noticed about strategy and why marketers make mistakes with strategy is that your strategy may not be aligned with the buyer's journey and traffic channels. And strategy can be complex. And no matter how simple or complex your strategy is, I like to simplify it and make sure that you can clearly answer 4 questions about your strategy. So 1, who are you trying to reach? And I know that a lot of marketers or store owners like to say, well, I'm trying to reach everyone. Well, I think it's not a good answer. You need to zoom in and figure out who you're trying to reach out to exactly. So who are your customer groups? So in this particular case, if we're talking about Sushi King example, are you trying to sell to restaurants or are you trying to sell to sushi making enthusiasts? 2 different audiences, 2 different ways of reaching those people, and you'll be using different channels to reach those people. Also, where are you going to reach them? So this is a conversation about different types of traffic channels, okay? So are you talking about display, you're talking about paid social or paid search? And also within those areas, where specifically are you trying to reach them? Are you talking about Google AdWords, under paid search, or is it, are you going to with Facebook ads under paid social? You need to answer that. And then the third question is, how are you going to reach them? So that's an important question is, what is your strategy behind that? Which is, what types of keywords are you using? Or what types of audiences are you using to target them? And then finally, what are you going to offer them? And you need to easily and clearly articulate that. It's not just, I'm trying to sell this product, but can you articulate the offer and come up with an offer based on the intent of that audience? So this leads me to the second point, which is PPC traffic is 2-dimensional. And what I've created here is a concept called a paid media cube. And let me explain how it works. So you'll have 2 different dimensions. So one dimension is the traffic channel. And I talked about it, it's display, paid social, and paid search. And you'll see different colors, okay? So this is the traffic temperature. So meaning that so the brighter color will have a higher intent to purchase. Because if you're talking about display, so you likely run a lot of awareness campaigns. Paid social is slightly better in terms of targeting. You can figure out a lot of interesting user behaviors. And then paid search, this is essentially where you're harvesting market demand. People are actively searching for answers, and this type of traffic has a higher chance of converting. And then the same thing on another another axis, you have buyer's journey stages. So each traffic source has users in different stages. So you have people who are in the decision stage, so they're searching for, or it may be a retargeting audience that already knows who you are and they're ready to make a decision. You may have audiences who are in the consideration or awareness stages. So you need to be aware of both audiences, and then the intersection between both dimensions is important because you'll need to develop a separate strategy for each. And once you develop the separate strategy for each, your results will improve because you are aligning to what the users are thinking, what their intent is, and your offer will be better aligned to what they were looking for. So you'll have to be able to answer those 4 questions from the beginning. Who you're trying to reach, where you're going to reach them, how are you going to reach them, and then what are you going to offer them. So let's continue. So the action item for you is to take all of the traffic that you have for your store and map everything to the paid media cube. And your view may look like this, because you may not be aware of all different types of stages or different channels that you are aware of. And this will help you to identify the gaps. So those great areas are the gaps that you can actually explore. So you may be focusing only on the decision stage for paid search. Well, guess what? You may find some keywords that are in the consideration and awareness stages, and that will help you to increase your traffic. Same thing with paid social. Maybe you're not using certain retargeting audiences that you could venture out to. That may be another gap. But overall, knowing and understanding on what types of traffic you have will help you to better understand what the strategy should be for each cube within that. So let's get to Sushi Can example. So since I mentioned that we're focusing on paid search for this example, we mapped everything out, and what we have noticed is that the performance is very different in each stage, and have color coded everything into different colors. So you have you have your metrics for the awareness stage, you have your metrics for the consideration stage, and then finally the decision stage. And what you'll notice is that the conversion rate will be different, and of course that's natural because people here have a very low intent. Here in the decision stage, they have a higher intent, but of course everything based on the weighted averages, everything still averages out to 6% that we have discussed before. Same thing with cost per click. There's less competition in the awareness stage, and there's a lot more competition in the decision stage because that's where a lot of people like to focus on. Let me just focus on the keywords. The problem is that the keywords are expensive. Everybody wants to focus on that, and no matter what platform you're at, a lot of marketers like to focus on what works. So when everybody focuses on what works, it doesn't work anymore, or it becomes very expensive. So it automatically affects your customer acquisition costs, okay? Because when you look into the conversion rate and of course your cost per conversion or cost per click, your return on ad spend will be different. So let's continue with our example. So let's say we mapped everything out, and we want to look into different stages. So as opposed to selling or having a sales message on all of the stages, we recognize the intent of different stages. So within the awareness stage, we know that the intent is very low. We're targeting folks who are not ready to buy anything. So we need to change our objective to lead generation, so we can actually get their information and then nurture them until they are ready to move to the next stage, which is either consideration or decision. So as opposed to giving them or trying to sell them a product that they're not ready to buy yet, we can offer them a sushi maker's guide, for example. It could be a PDF, and then you get their email address. You add them to your sequence. Then in the consideration stage with the medium intent, you can still do lead generation or maybe a low risk offer, or you can do a coupon in exchange of their email address, and you can have, let's say, a 20% or 10% coupon for the first time customers. And finally, you can keep the offer that you have in the decision stage because you know that the intent is much higher there. So let's go over some more examples of what types of offers you can suggest for different stages. So this is a graphic from a company called Client Boost, and they have nicely depicted different examples, different ideas for using different offers or offer types for different levels of traffic. So with cold traffic, where the intent is low, you can offer coupon, checklist, cheat sheet. You can do a podcast. It really depends on the industry that you're focusing on. So it may not apply it may not apply 100% to e-commerce. Only some of them. Then you've got the medium intent, and of course you've got the high intent. So what you can see here is that there's awareness, and you need to have that awareness of different intents and then align your offer to the right intent. So let's assume that we align our intent, align our offers for Sushi King. So we improved our conversion rate for awareness and consideration stages by 1% each. So we went from 3.6 to 4.6, and then we went from 6% to 7% conversion rate by improving our offers. Not a huge win, but it's an incremental win. So what this automatically gives us is that with a slightly higher conversion rate and the same traffic, we were able to get more customers, okay? And of course, that translates back into the gross profit and our return on investment metric.